welcome once again to Esomnofu Online Maths. In this video, we are going to solve this problem before us. Do not forget that this video is probably powered by your lesson app. So this problem says that an operation star is defined on the set of real numbers R by x star y equal to x plus y plus 3x. Okay? If star is commutative, find the identity element of E. Find the identity element E of R under star. Determine the inverse element X element of R under the operation. Find the value X element of R for which no inverse exists. So this is the problem given to us to solve. Now, to solve this problem, you need to know the basics of binary operations. Okay, so the basics of binary operations will go a long way helping you to solve this particular problem. We are talking about identity element as well as inverse element. You need to understand what identity element is. For example, now 2 multiplied by 1 is equal to 2. 3 multiplied by 1 is equal to 3. 4 multiplied by 1 is equal to 4. You notice that when all these numbers multiply 1, we are getting the same thing. There is no change. That shows us that 1 is an identity of multiplication. The same thing happens to 0. Also, we have an inverse element. For instance, we have an inverse. An inverse element is that element that when it operates on a given element, we have an identity element. For example, 2 multiplied by 1 over 2 will give us 1, and 1 is an identity element. You will notice again that if 3 multiplies 1 over 3, it will give us 1. Therefore, this 1 over 3 that makes 3 to arrive at 1 when it multiplies it is known as the inverse element. 1 over 2 is also the inverse element of 2. So that is the difference between identity element and the inverse element. So 1 here is serving as the identity element. Now, so you have now noticed here that if this 3 is represented as a number A, multiplied by its inverse, A inverse, it will give us 1, which is an identity element. We represent identity element with the symbol E. That is what identity element is all about. So A star A inverse is equal to E. All right? But you know that A star E is equal to A. You need to notice it because when you multiply A with its identity element, it will still be A, just like what we have here. Identity element does not have any impact on any element. Okay, now let us go back to the solution to this problem. I just made a brief introduction to this topic so that it will be easy for you to understand. Now, we are told that x star y is equal to x plus y plus 3xy. So x star y is equal to x plus y plus 3xy. So if we want to answer problem A to find the identity element, remember that x star E, I'm using E now because E is serving as the identity element E. So I'm removing y to put E. X star E will now be equal to x. Anywhere you see y, you are now putting E because we are talking about we want to get the identity element. So we choose one particular element, x, and operate it with the identity element E. So x will be x, y will turn to E. So coming here, that is seeing y, you write E plus 3xe. That is what it will be. And you know that x star E must be equal to x. Whenever you operate any element with its identity element, it will still be itself. So I will remove this x star E and put x because x star E is equal to x. Therefore, I am not wrong if I write that x is equal to x plus E plus 3xe. Then this x will come to the right hand side to meet its fellow x. I'll have x minus x is equal to E plus 3xe. So x minus x will give us 0 equal to E is common here, you factor it out. E divided E is 1 plus 3xe divided by E will give us 3x. Now we are looking for e. To get the value of e, you can divide both sides by 1 plus 3x. 1 plus 3x. This will cancel out, and 0 divided by 1 plus 3x is still 0, because anything divided by 0, 0 divided by any number is actually 0. So we have answered the first problem, that the identity element is 0. Now we want to go to the B part of it to answer the inverse element. For the inverse element, we all know that this term x star y is equal to x plus y plus 3xy. So we write x star y is equal to x plus y plus 3xy. We are now looking for the inverse element. Inverse element, you change y to x inverse, because you need to find the inverse of x. So write x star x inverse will now be x. Wherever you see y, you put x inverse plus 3x. I see y, I will still write x inverse. But you know that whenever you have x star x inverse, it will give you identity elements like we discussed. And you know that our identity element is now 0. So I will remove everything I have at the right hand side and put 0. So I will now write 0 is equal to x plus x inverse plus 3x x inverse. So this will now be the same thing as 0 is equal to x plus x inverse is common, you factor it out. X inverse divided by x inverse is 1. 3x x inverse divided by x inverse is 3x. Now let me move this x to the right hand side. It will be minus x equal to x inverse into 1 plus 3x. That is what it will be. So to get the value of x inverse, you now divide everything by 1 plus 3x over 1 plus 3x. This will cancel out. You see that x inverse is equal to minus x over 1 plus 3x. This is the solution to the second problem, which says we should find the inverse of an element x, element of R, under the operation. Now the last problem says that we should find the value x, element of real numbers, for which no inverse exists. Now for we to have no inverse, it means that the denominator must be an undefined fraction. Okay? The denominator must be an undefined fraction, because undefined fraction is a fraction whose denominator is 0. If the denominator is 0, it means there is no inverse. Therefore, you can write that for C, 1 plus 3x equated with 0. So 3x is equal to minus 1 divided by 3. When you divide by 3, you see that x is equal to minus 1 over 3. So this is just the value of x for which no inverse exists. Do not forget that this video is proudly powered by your lesson app.